We're going to talk about things that I've assembled on the Buick. We started at the rear of the car because we haven't put the engine in, so we can't put anything on the front of the car. So we began with the taillight assemblies, put the rear bumper on, and this chrome piece on the trunk lid, and then moved to both sides of the car and began to put the side strips on. So,
did you have any difficulties with bumper, or was it pretty straightforward?
This was pretty straightforward. We had a little bit of trouble with the bolts, room or finding room to put the bolts in, but it was only just a minor difficulty. No major fit problems or anything like that. So it all went together fairly easy.
Good.
When we started the putting on the side strips on the car, one of the things that I found was a problem is the two things. One, the clippies that were original on the car were meant to snap through the hole and then catch on the other side. And I have one here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it squeezes together.
Bring it up.
Snaps.
Bring it up to the camera.
Stick it in
front of
it. This part here snaps through the hole and then catches on the other side of the hole on the sheet metal.
This side snaps through.
Right, that snaps through.
I won't focus on it. But anyway, you get the point.
Okay, all right. But I didn't want to do that because it had nice paint on on the side of the car, and snapping a piece of metal through the hole is going to chip the paint off. So then you have a potential for rusting. So I went to an aftermarket and purchased new plated deals with screws on them. Some of the ones had screws, but I wanted all of them with screws, none with a snap thing. So I purchased these to replace all these things. Plus, these are all rusty because they aren't plated, and so now I have plated ones, and they should resist rusting. They're going to get rusty as they wear, but they'll resist rusting. So that's what I did. The other problem is that the holes that hold these strips on, at both ends of the chrome strip, the hole is way close to the end of the strip. Well, the clippies won't slide clear to the end because it gets in the way. So you have to take them over to the grinder and grind some of the things off and make it so that you can slide that clip right up to the edge, within a half an inch of the edge, so that the screw will go through the hole. Then you put the nut on the end. But those are minor problems, but you need to be aware of it anyway, that it's going to happen.
What part do you have to grind on that?
What?
Show which parts where do you have to grind it off?
Oh, okay. On some of the clippies, in order to get them right up close to the edge like this, you're going to have to grind. You're going to have to grind this off, and maybe down in this way, so that this clip will slide. This one is not the right one for this thing, but it's big enough that you can see it. But you have to grind it off so that it'll slide right up to the end, and of course it's facing that way so that it'll slide through the hole. But a little bit of grinding on here, maybe on this edge, so that you can slide it forward far enough to get in.
And you just ground and checked?
Yeah, I just kept grinding and then putting it back in and moving it until I could get it up here. Another tip, this is another great tip that I got from the painter guy. He said, when you're putting these strips on, you should have two people. One guy to hold the strip, the other guy on the inside to put the nuts on. Because when you're out here trying to fiddle around, get everything all straight so that all the screws go through the holes, that's wonderful. But then once you put it in, then what do? You haven't got a hand that'll go reach around the other side to put a nut on. So you need another person over there to take care of that. You can do it by yourself, but much more difficult. Okay.
Cool.
Moving on up to here. Can we see the
Where are we
portholes?
going? Oh,
Can you see the portholes?
yeah, we can.
Yeah, okay. Portholes. A lot of stuff, some of this stuff you had to do from laying on your back. These portholes were way up high, so you can't reach. That's another fact. Without the engine in there, somebody could crawl in the hole and reach in from that side to put the nut on here to hold it. So that's another clip or another good thing is try to get the stuff on that you are going to have trouble with when the engine's not in there. So that's about it. We got both sides on, and everything is nice and tight. Although we had to mess around a little bit, not mess around, but we had to slide them kind of up and down and tweak them a little bit to before you tighten them, so that you keep the flow of the strip and so that they line up. This one here, we had to move it back and forth so that it didn't hit when you opened the door. But those are little minor things, but you just have to do it, that's all.
Each one of those minor things adds up to a lot of time, though.
Now we'll talk about the engine reassembly. I took the heads off, manifold, and exhaust manifolds. Took all those off. The heads, I had them rework the heads and put hardened seats so that I don't have to put an additive in the gasoline, and because to keep the valves from burning up. These older cars didn't have hardened seats in them, and the new unleaded gasoline will mess with the valves. So those got taken care of. The two heads, the manifold, and this part, I painted over on a bench where I could set them up and paint them without a problem. You see this part right here. This part, that's the thermostat housing. Well, that's not the original one. The original one is in my hand, and there's no picture in the book that talks, or there's nothing that talks about this in the book. So when I was removing it, I broke a part on it that's right down here at the bottom, and it's a little peg that sticks out, and I had no clue that it was there, because there's nothing that tells me what it is. You have to know it Well, now I know it, but I broke this part on the way out. So, what it is this peg that sticks down here goes right in through here. This is where the water from the water pump comes up through here and goes into the head and goes up the hose into the radiator. Thermostat sits in this hole right here. Thermostat sits in there. And this peg that broke off of here goes through a big O-ring that's inside here, and what it's there for is to keep it from leaking. The water that comes up through there, it's to keep it from leaking. So anyway, I had to order a new one of these, and we found the O-ring in the master gasket set that I bought to get all the gaskets that I had to replace. So anyway, that's what something you have to. It's just something you have to know. That's all. And I didn't know it, but now I do. So we replaced the fuel pump, put a new fuel pump on, and just painted everything. And then my friend had purchased a Mallory Unilite distributor for this engine, and so we installed that also. You have to take the original distributor out, take the gear off of the original distributor, and then install it on the new distributor and drill and pin it. And they do that so that you have the absolute correct gear on this distributor. They make you take the old one off the original distributor and put it on this one so that there's no problem with messing with the cam, so the cam and the gear match. And it's a good way. Mallory's been doing that type of thing for years. But that's how you have to do it. So you have to. That requires well, I used a V-block to put the distributor in so that it would be square, and then you have to have a drill press and the proper size drill, obviously. So those kind of things, you have to have a good machine shop, or you have to have somebody do it for you. One of the two. So, we've done, after we put the heads on, the bolts weren't painted because we knew we were going to mess them up with the torque wrench anyway. So we put all the bolts in and then painted them after they were all torqued down nicely. Same with the manifold bolts and these bolts here, and we had taken out some of these bolts we'd taken the water pump off also, so we had to replace that and then repaint the bolt heads for that also. So that's where we are at this point with the engine. Still got some more to put on, more stuff to put together, but we're doing. This is how far I got so far.
Where'd you get the paint?
The paint came from a guy called Bill Hirsch Paints. It's in. It came out of the name came out of my Buick Club of America book. He advertises in there, and he has sells the correct paints for most engines, not only Buick but lots of the other engines too, because they all have their various colors, and this guy claims that he has the best selection of correct paint colors. I bought two kinds of paint. I bought a can of spray paint and then a quart of the kind that you use a paintbrush with, because I did a lot of this stuff. I did the heads with the paintbrush, and this stuff with the paintbrush. But for respraying the bolt heads and repainting the bolt heads and stuff, we use this can of spray paint and kind of did it that way. So that's it.
We'll have another video on the painting. Quick tips on painting the engine.
Oh, okay.
So look in the either on our website or the YouTube.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's where we are at this point. There are still a few things left. We got to put the fan back on, and a few other things left to be put on the engine before it's ready. The other thing is that I got the transmission back finally after it was overhauled. And before the engine goes in, the transmission has to be married up with the engine, and because it goes in as one piece, and it came out as one piece, it's going back in as one piece. And it's much easier to do it that way, because down underneath there where you got to connect the transmission to the torque tube, it's way easier to do when it's all in one piece. So we'll do that. One of the situations that happened with the transmission was a difficulty with the torque ball, and we'll have we're going to do a separate video talking about the torque ball and the problems I had with that thing, and the solutions that I came up with that fixed that whole mechanism. We'll have a video about that. Then, of course, other things that have to be done. Of course, you can see there's a lot of chrome around the windshield and chrome strips up on the head, above the windows. There's some chrome strips that go up in there, plus all of the interior things have to be put back together. So there's a lot of stuff that has to go back together, but we're going to do the engine and transmission will probably be done before that gets finished. We'll put them in, get them settled, and so that we can finish putting the rest of the chrome on the front and put the hood on and all that stuff. So that's pretty much what's going on with that. There's a ton of things left to be put on, but anyway, but that's what we got going so far. And I'll just mention my new license plate. I realized that I didn't have this spelled this way when I first got the license plate, Higgs 56, but realized later that I could get it spelled correctly, and so I went back to the DMV and got that taken care of.